Welcome back to Maniko Knows. Today I have something truly special in store for you. I'll be delving into Isabel Wilkerson's groundbreaking book, Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents. This powerful exploration of societal hierarchies has taken the literary world by storm, and I'm excited to dissect its key themes and insights in today's show. Before I dive in, let's set the stage. Caste is a thought provoking examination of the deeply ingrained structures that shape our societies. Wilkerson draws parallels between the caste systems of India, Nazi Germany, and the United States, offering readers a new lens through which to understand the persistent issues of race and inequality. We in the developed world are like homeowners who inherited a house on a piece of land that is beautiful on the outside, but whose soil is unstable loam and rock, heaving and contracting over generations, cracks patched, but the deeper ruptures waved away for decades, centuries even. Many people may rightly say, I had nothing to do with how this all started. I have nothing to do with the sins of the past. My ancestors never attacked indigenous people, never owned slaves. And yes, not one of us was here when this house was built. Our immediate ancestors may have had nothing to do with it, but here we are, the current occupants of a property with stress cracks and bowed walls and fissures built into the foundation. We are the heirs to whatever is right or wrong with it. We did not erect the uneven pillars or joists, but they are ours to deal with now. And any further deterioration is, in fact, on our hands. That is an excerpt from the book Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. The invisible structure of caste. Wilkerson argues that caste is an invisible but powerful force that shapes our lives. Just like an unseen framework, it influences our opportunities, interactions, and perceptions. Throughout the book, she skillfully illustrates how caste operates in the shadows, affecting everything from personal relationships to institutional structures. Historical roots and modern manifestations. One of the strengths of caste is its historical depth. Wilkerson takes us on a journey through centuries, unveiling the roots of caste in different cultures. By doing so, she sheds light on how these historical dynamics continue to manifest in the present day, affecting policies, attitudes, and societal norms. So I'd like to pause here and expand on what I mean by historical roots and modern manifestations of caste. So, one example of the historical roots of caste, particularly in America, can be found in Jim Crow. Jim Crow refers to a system of racial segregation and discrimination that existed in the United States, particularly in the southern states, from the late 19th century to the mid 20th century. The term Jim Crow is often used to describe laws, practices, and policies that enforced racial segregation and denied African Americans their civil rights. The name Jim Crow is believed to have originated from a 19th century minstrel show character that perpetuated racial stereotypes. The Jim Crow era persisted until the civil rights movement gained momentum in the mid 20th century. Landmark legal decisions such as Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954 and the Civil Rights Act of 1964 helped dismantle the legal framework of segregation. However, the legacy of Jim Crow continues to impact race relations and social inequalities in the United States. So, some key features of Jim Crow laws and practices included segregation, voter suppression, unequal facilities and services, job discrimination, violence, and intimidation. This is not an exhaustive list, but just some main key features. Now, when we talk about modern manifestations, while the legal framework of Jim Crow has been dismantled, some argue that modern manifestations of racial inequality persist in various forms. It's essential to note that the comparison to Jim Crow is not meant to suggest an identical situation, but rather to highlight ongoing challenges related to racial injustice. Some contemporary issues that are considered by some as modern manifestations of Jim Crow include mass incarceration, voter suppression, educational disparities, economic inequality, housing segregation, police violence and racial profiling, healthcare disparities. So, if we think about all that, that gives us a better idea of what I mean by historical roots and modern manifestations of caste. The parallels between caste systems. Drawing connections between the caste systems of different cultures, Wilkerson provides a unique perspective on the universality of human behavior. So, whether it's the untouchables in India, the Nuremberg laws in Germany, or the systemic racism in the US, she demonstrates that the mechanisms of oppression bear striking similarities across diverse societies. I want to take a moment here to delve a little bit deeper into the parallels between caste systems. While the caste systems in India, Germany, and the historical racial hierarchy in the United States are distinct and rooted in different historical and cultural contexts, there are some parallels and connections worth exploring. Take, for instance, social hierarchy and discrimination. The caste system in India is a social hierarchy that traditionally divides people into four main categories: varnas, with various subgroups, castes. Discrimination and social status are associated with one's caste, and historically there have been limitations on social mobility. While in the United States, the racial hierarchy, particularly during slavery and the Jim Crow era, established a rigid system where people of African descent were systemically oppressed and discriminated against. Discrimination was based on race, and African Americans were subjected to slavery, segregation, and unequal treatment. Legal and systemic discrimination. Now, while Germany did not have a caste system, it had a deeply entrenched system of anti Semitic laws and policies during the Nazi era. Jews were systemically persecuted and discriminated against through the Nuremberg laws and other measures. In the United States, the Jim Crow laws and practices legally enforced racism through laws that mandated separate facilities for whites and blacks, disenfranchisement, and economic inequality. Going a bit darker was genocidal policies. The Nazi regime in Germany implemented genocidal policies leading to the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews were systemically murdered. This was an extreme form of discrimination based on perceived racial superiority. In the United States, while not genocidal, according to the experts, the historical treatment of Native Americans involved forced displacement, violence, and policies that marginalized indigenous populations. As far as legacy and struggles for equality, India, Germany, and the United States, in all three cases, there have been efforts to challenge and overcome historical discrimination. Movements for civil rights, human rights, and social justice have emerged to address inequalities and challenge discriminatory practices. Last but not least, let's talk about intersectionality. In the United States and India, both countries have grappled with issues of intersectionality, where individuals may face discrimination based on a combination of factors such as race, gender, and socioeconomic status. In the US, discussions often involve the intersection of race and gender, while in India, factors like caste and gender intersect. Now, I want to note that while these connections highlight some similarities, it's crucial to acknowledge the unique historical and cultural context of each system. When we make comparisons about these different caste systems and social structures in India, Germany, and America, we should make them with sensitivity to the distinct experiences and struggles faced by different communities in each country. Impact on individuals and communities. The book not only explores the macroscopic view of caste, but also delves into its impact on individuals. Wilkerson shares personal stories and anecdotes, highlighting how caste affects the lives of people on a day to day basis. This personalized approach adds a poignant layer to the narrative, making the book accessible and relatable. As we reflect on Wilkerson's caste, it becomes clear that it's more than just a book. It's a call to action. The author challenges readers to confront uncomfortable truths and inspires us to dismantle the invisible barriers that perpetuate inequality. And there you have it, folks, our deep dive into Isabel Wilkerson's Caste. If you haven't read the book yet, I highly recommend it. It's a thought provoking exploration that will undoubtedly leave you with a new perspective on the world around you. It sure had an effect on me. As always, thank you for joining me here on Moniko Knows, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep exploring the world through literature. Bye bye.